Hi, so we will be talking about the second season of BoJack Horseman. Now, our second season opens with a young BoJack watching Secretariat's interview while his parents were screaming at each other. Um, and then they go to the first day of filming of the Secretariat movie. First day of filming doesn't go as planned, and really the amount of layers to this is amazing. There is the fact that BoJack was a comedy sitcom star, and maybe that means he really isn't a good, serious actor. Then there's the fact that he's trying so hard to be a changed man and therefore can't go to the place he needs to go to emotionally play this part properly. And then there's the whole he could get there if he just tapped into his own experiences, but he doesn't want to do that because he's terrified of that place. Brilliant writing. Loved it. Super real. Fantastic. We get a lot in this first episode with him and his mom. Beatrice is truly the source of most, if not all, of BoJack's trauma and issues. She straight up tells him, "You were born broken. You're BoJack Horseman, and there's no cure for that." Those are some of the most devastating words ever spoken to another person in reality or in fiction. And the fact that his mother is telling him that he will never escape himself and there's no fixing him is so aggressive. There were several times in this episode where I just had to take a deep breath and shake off some of this really heavy dialogue. Then we get to BoJack and Wanda, who are great because BoJack actually gets some character development. He listens to her because he's tired of hearing about himself. That's amazing all on its own. That's a straight up breakthrough for BoJack, as he's tired of hearing about himself. In season 1, he was established as one of the most selfish characters we know, and he wants someone else to tell him about themselves so that he doesn't have to hear any more about him. And then he admits to himself and to her that he enjoys spending time with her and wants to continue to do so. And he gets into a happy, relatively healthy relationship, at least for him. And then Herb Kazaz dies. So watching BoJack process Herb's death was really great to watch because it was very clear that he felt a lot of guilt because Herb never forgave him before his death, and BoJack is struggling to find some kind of closure. He does run into Charlotte at the funeral and realizes that he lives a lot closer than he thought, and she tells him to come see her if he's ever in New Mexico, which is important for later in the series and in the season. BoJack has another good character development moment when he lets it slip out that he loves Wanda, and then he immediately takes it back, to which she tells him she doesn't love him anyway, so it doesn't matter. They spend the whole rest of the episode kind of going back and forth, trying to see who's going to break first, and Wanda admits that she does love him, and he admits that she makes him feel less broken. It's very sweet, and it shows BoJack opening up to someone, which we got slices of in the first season with him and Diane, but nothing to this caliber. One of the best things about this show is how brilliant it is in its quiet moments. The episode where BoJack and his director break into the Nixon library to get a shot for Secretariat, BoJack is supposed to cry, but he tells her that he can't cry in front of people. So he doesn't. And they get the scene in a way that she likes anyway, and BoJack goes outside, lights a cigarette, and starts bawling. And it's a quiet, beautiful, heartbreaking moment. Because he's an adult and he only internalizes his emotions and breaks down in the privacy of himself. BoJack, in a weak moment, goes on a whim to go see Charlotte, who he finds out has a husband and a family. He lives on a boat in their driveway for 2 months. Finally feeling a sense of family and validation, BoJack drives Charlotte's daughter and her friends to the prom. He buys them alcohol, which is obviously the first very questionable adult decision that's going to happen here. He then has this super terrible moment with Charlotte's daughter where they're dancing and he straight up tells her she looks like her mother. And this is where everything starts going downhill. It's one of BoJack's worst moments. And yes, he does worse shit, but this is something that never is topped, I think. this is added to when he drops off Charlotte's friend at the hospital, because he bought these kids alcohol. Her friend Maddie gets super, super drunk, and so they have to take her to the hospital, and he tells her other friend Pete to lie about where Maddie got the alcohol. He makes a semi-responsible decision when Penny comes up on him and he rejects her. But after getting rejected by her mom, he allows Penny onto his boat, and Charlotte gets to them before anything happens. But we see BoJack, again, self-sabotaging and burning bridges when he thinks things are just like Rebecca and Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. When things are finally reaching a stable, secure place, he has to blow it up. And that's really where we leave him at the end of season 2, screwed up, down a couple of friends, and headed back to LA. Now, I think season 3 is really the turning point for the show and for BoJack's character in a lot of ways, so I can't wait to get there. But fair warning, if you haven't seen the show all the way through yet, the giving minors alcohol, being alone with them, and almost sleeping with his old crush's daughter is the tip of the iceberg, and it's about to get way worse.